Hey everybody. So here, what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to use Audiotool. So let's go to Audiotool. Okay, let's do a Google search. Brings it right up, audiotool.com. And right now, notice that I'm signed in. You will have to create an account. It's a free account. I don't believe they'll ever try and ask you for money for anything, unlike Pro Tools. So basically what we're going to do right now is we're going to enter the studio. Okay, if you look over here, you can see once you start to work on things, you'll have things saved here. And you can actually look at examples of what people have done. So here's somebody making. Okay, so these are some examples of projects you can see other people have done. So we're going to enter the studio, and this might take a little while to load, but this is a browser-based DAW, so it's going to have all sorts of interesting things to do, and it should not. It should work with any browser. I'm using Chrome because I find that Chrome is just the most compatible with these things. I think I was unable to get it to work in Safari. Okay, when you start, you'll see a couple things here. First of all, we have down here the tracks, which there are no tracks yet, but that's where they'll be, just like in any DAW. And here we have a workspace. Now this is actually not similar to Pro Tools. So what we have here is, this is the main output. I'm going to put this off to the side here. Notice that there's a cable that goes from the main output to the main output of our main mixer board. Okay, and this is all the sounds that we make in this program are going to be routed into the different tracks on the mixer board. All right, and you can actually have more than one mixer board. You can actually have a number of things that work together. So anytime you need to make a sound, you need to drag something onto here. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to create a drum beat. So they have 3 drum machines, and we're going to use the machinist here. So I'm going to click on this, and if you don't see this, you can make sure you're selected on devices. So every time we make a sound, we're going to have to drag a device onto our workspace here. I believe if you press the plus, that goes away, and then it comes back. So if you can't see it, press that plus. So I'm going to drag this machinist onto the workspace here, and I'm actually just going to butt it right up against the mixer board here. Notice that the machinist has a main output here, and it goes into there. It actually also has individual outputs for each of these tracks, which is kind of cool. You can scroll in and out. You can use like your scroll bar to zoom and zoom out. If you ever double click on something, it'll kind of center it in your screen. Okay, so a couple of things about this project here. We're just going to use the machinist for a little while, so I'm going to put that over there. Notice we have no sounds here. We have no sounds in the machine track. Do you see it says no sample, no sample, no sample? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a sample in the machinist. And also we have this bar of playback controls here. It also tells us like the meter, the beats per minute, if there's some kind of swing or something like that. So let's go ahead and look for a sample. I'm just going to make a drum set here in my drum kit. So I'm going to make, let's find a snare drum. Actually, let's do a hi-hat first. You can search for hats. And actually, I made a mistake here. This is for loops. This is going to be one-shot things. So you can hear different hats. Okay. And we can find whatever we want. Let's use this first one. No, I don't like that. All right, let's try that one. So I'm dragging it over here. Notice that when I'm outside here, it'll, you can actually put samples on a lot of different things, but I'm going to put it in the top spot here. And now it says hi-hat. So anytime, and this is actually right now, this is in a 16 beat pattern. You can see the pattern length is 16. And if I click in these boxes, it's going to make a hi-hat sound and those beats. All right. You can also use undo. You can get rid of those. So I'm going to make more drum sets. So I need a snare drum. All right, let's just put a snare drum in the second one, and then I'm going to put a bass drum here. Usually you call bass drums kick drums. So let's just find a kick. Good, good, good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to design a beat here using hi-hat, snare, and kick. So let's put the snare on 2 and 4. And how about that? Super snazzy. And let's just throw some hi-hats in there. They don't need to be all over the place, but how's that? Let's try that. Okay. And now what I've done is I have a drum set. So notice it's actually not really doing anything on the track here. So let's talk a little bit about the tracks at the bottom. This right here is the view of the tracks. Notice I can see measures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. If I stretch this out, I'll be able to see more measures. And if I shrink it in, I'll be able to see fewer. Right? I can even shrink it in to see like just the 4 beats of the first measure, right? So I'm going to go like this. And what I can do is I'm going to make a pattern track, and I'm going to actually rename the machinist drums. Centroid is the name of the mixer. So this is setting up the workspace, and I'm going to create this pattern. This is pattern 1, bank A. If you were performing with a drum machine, you know you'd have different patterns you could switch between. Just press a button. Notice pattern 2 we haven't done anything with yet. So I'm going to create a pattern track, and I can do that a couple of ways here. This is probably the best way to do it. Create a timeline track, okay, of the drums. So basically I'm creating a track for one of my devices. All right, and I'm going to create a track for the drums here. Let's make a pattern track. And it's a 4-beat pattern, so anytime I double click, it's just going to make one measure. And it's going to play pattern A1. So if I kind of turn my drum machine to a non-pattern here and play it, and it's going to stop. There's a bug where I think if I start it like this, it'll just keep playing the pattern. Oh, no, sometimes it does. But if you put it on a blank pattern, it fixes it up. And I can actually loop that. So this program is designed to make loops. So let's go all the way up to, let's do 3 full measures of that. And then the 4th measure, let's make a different pattern. So I'm going to make pattern 2 here. Now I want it to be kind of similar to pattern 1, so let's just copy this pattern. You can right click on it, copy that pattern, and then go ahead and paste that pattern onto number 2. Okay, so if I make another pattern here, I can right click on A2 and switch the pattern. I can make it pattern A2. Now right now A2 is the same as A1, but let's change it up. Let's listen to that. So here we go. I'm going to play pattern A1, and then it's going to switch to A2. I'm not satisfied with that. However, that's how you do it. You can also clone things. If you ever press, on Windows machines, I believe it's the control button, and on Macs, it's the command button. I can just clone things. So if I ever have something that I like and I want to put it somewhere else, I can clone it. Okay, you can also undo using Command Z. I can shift select these, meaning holding down shift and selecting more than one track, and then also clone those. So if I wanted to do that, I could repeat that pattern. Let's make this a little better. Let's see how that sounds. Okay, that's going to be a nice little turnaround. So now I have those two drum patterns. And what I want to do is I want to show you one or two more things. One is adding a sample. So you can actually add, I'm going to go back to devices here. You can actually add a sample just like we did in Pro Tools. So what you do is you need to use this audio track playback device. I'm going to put this right above, right here, just so it's, okay. And now notice that since I made this right here, it made a track down here on my, so I can drag a sample into that. So let's look at samples, and let's look at samples that are loops. All right, so this is kick loops. I don't want kick loops. I want something more melodic. And I'm looking for something that, I don't know, we could. Not really interested in drums. How about? All right, I'm thrilled. So I'm going to drag this over here. Notice it's a short loop. It's 2 measures long. But I can actually do the same thing as before. Let's listen to our percussion. Let's listen to our song. All right, pretty boring. I'm going to talk about automation in a different lesson. So that's good.